February 20th, 1962. After losing both the first manned flight and the first orbit to the Soviet Union in the space race, the United States placed all its hopes on John Glenn for the mission to orbit the Earth. Following two previous suborbital flights, Glenn took his place atop this 120-ton rocket with the goal of becoming the first American to orbit the Earth. And thus, his journey began.
Cabin pressure is holding at 6-1, okay.
Roger, cabin pressure holding at 6-1.
Roger, I've had some oscillations, but they seem to be damping out okay now. Coming up on 2 minutes, and fuel is 102, 101, oxygen 78, 102. Geez, they're building to 6.
Roger, reading it loud and clear. Flight path looks good. Pitch 25, stand by for
Roger, Pico. Sector 1 1/4, the tower fired. I could not see the tower go. I saw the smoke go by the window.
Reconfirm staging on TM.
Roger.
Mercury spacecraft separated, and Glenn began drifting into the depths of space in his small capsule. The tracking station in Bermuda reviewed the data coming from the vehicle and confirmed that Glenn was in orbit. But how many orbits can Glenn make is not planned in advance. The radar data from Bermuda Station estimates he is safe at least for 7 orbits.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
John Glenn reports 0G, and I feel fine. He says the view is tremendous.
Almost cut off. Roger, 7. You have a go. At least 7 orbits. Oh, that view is tremendous.
Roger, turn on
Reports he can see a very large cloud pattern clear back toward Cape Canaveral and says it's a beautiful sight.
Especially to have behind him, since that could have given us so much trouble but did not here at the Cape this morning.
Astronaut John Glenn now reports his spacecraft has turned around. The blunt heat shield is facing the direction of flight and is tilted up about 34 degrees above horizontal. This is the desired pre-planned orbital attitude.
The critical phase passed. Flight Director Chris Kraft observing every facet of this operation. The spacecraft now passing beyond the first major time of decision.
The Friendship 7 spacecraft, its pilot John Glenn, is now in contact with Bermuda. This is Mercury Control.
Due to NASA not having complete knowledge of how the spacecraft's systems will perform in space, the mission will proceed with the possibility of early termination being considered at the end of each orbit, rather than adhering strictly to the planned 7-orbit duration. After some time, John Glenn sees his first sunset in space as Friendship 7 passes over the Indian Ocean. He starts taking pictures with his camera that he purchased from a drugstore prior to the launch, and he convinced NASA to bring it with him to his flight.
This is Friendship 7. Had a beautiful sunset, and can see the light way out almost up to the northern horizon. The sunset was beautiful. It went down very rapidly. I still have a brilliant blue band clear across the horizon, almost covering my whole window. The redness of the sunset I can still see through some of the clouds way over to the left of my course, over. The sky above is absolutely black, completely black. I can see stars, though, up above. I do not have any of the constellations identified as yet, over.
After Glenn had passed his second orbit, Mission Control had noticed a warning light indicated that the landing bag had deployed. Landing bag is located between the heat shield and the capsule. Its task is softening the landing when the capsule touches to the ocean.
Say that over again now. I'm not sure I'm with you, Capcom.
Well, we had a valid segment 51 as we went over here.
Which is what?
Indicating the landing bag is down. It's probably a failure, malfunction of the micro switch. We had it valid here, and we also had it valid over at the hangar on TM.
If landing bag deployed in the space, then it could mean the heat shield is not intact. If that's the case, Glenn won't survive the 3,000-degree re-entry and burn alive. The mood inside had changed dramatically. Mission Control had fallen silent. After giving the matter some thought, they told astronaut Gordon Cooper to have John Glenn check if the landing gear indicator light was on. But they instructed him not to explain him why. Glenn told them the switch is off. Now they have one data shows that the bag is deployed and other says it's not. But they couldn't be reassured by this answer. One of the two switches was faulty, but which one? The designer told the straps that holds the retro engines might be the only thing that holds the heat shield intact.
Well, you'd think the straps would hold the thing on, though, Ed. The retro straps.
That's Roger. They would hold it on. There's no question about it.
Right.
But if the...
Go ahead, K-Plate. We want the astronaut to put the switch in the auto position. In the auto position, if he gets a red light indicating that the bag has been deployed, then we want him to re-enter with the pack on.
Glenn continues his orbit, unaware of the tension on the ground. However, he becomes suspicious when Mission Control repeatedly asks him to ensure the landing bag switch is off.
Roger. Did someone report landing bag could be down? Over. Negative. We had a request to monitor this and to ask you if you heard any flapping when you had high capsule rates. Negative.
The team conclude that keeping the pack during the re-entry is the only possible way. They tell Glenn to place the landing bag switch in the automatic position and report them back if any light comes on. After this request, Glenn knew what the problem was, and he is not happy that they don't tell him the reason. In his mentality, he was the one in the capsule, and he should have been informed about the situation. But he also knows that thousands of people is listening them on live, so he doesn't say anything about it.
This is Texas Capcom Operation 7. We are recommending that you leave the retro package on through the entire re-entry. 3. This also means that you will have to manually retract the scope. Do you read?
This is Friendship 7. What is the reason for this? Do you have any reason? Over.
Not at this time. This is the judgment of safe flight.
Roger. Say again your instructions, please. Over.
He fulfills their request without making any scene. He prepared the spacecraft for the re-entry. After just 3 orbits, Glenn is coming home disappointed. And John Glenn fires his retro engines to return home. He has a rendezvous with atmosphere. He will either come out of there alive or dead.
This is Friendship 7, a real fireball outside.
Friendship 7, this is Gabe. Over.
All 3 of them. Play. Roger.
Friendship 7, this is Gabe. Over.
This is Friendship 7. I think the pack just let go. Okay, Friendship 7, over. Okay, Friendship 7, over. Okay, Friendship 7, do you receive, over? I'm getting all kinds of contrails and stuff outside out here.
Roger, reading you loud and clear. How you doing?
My condition is good, but that was a real fireball, boy. I had great chunks of that retro pack breaking off all the way through.
Very good. It did break off. Is that correct?
Roger. Altimeter off the peg indicating 80,000.
Roger. Reading you loud and clear.
Roger.
7, this is Steve. If you in, you will be within 1 mile of the uprange destroyer. Recovery weather is very good. Over.
Roger. Understand. 5,000. Stand by. Mark.
The destroyer has the capsule parachute in sight. They are talking.
Friendship 7 lands 65 kilometers short of its planned landing site, but it is still in a visible range of the destroyer ship. the cause for the landing bag signal that made them sweat, microswitch malfunction. The heat shield was never loose.